Well, new salary transparency laws are in effect in New York as of earlier this month. Job descriptions now reveal how much you could get paid. But has the change made a dent in the city's job market? Thank you for staying with us. I'm Erin LeBeau.
And I'm Tamsin Fidel. Well, according to a new Monster poll, nearly all workers believe companies should put salary ranges in job postings. More than half would not apply for a job that doesn't actually post the salary.
Okay, so Vicki Salemi is a career expert at Monster and is joining us with more. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me back.
Okay, so what does this new salary transparency law actually mean for people who are looking for work?
Yeah, it means that in certain states, such as in New York City in particular, that the salary range is included in job descriptions. So it's transparent to job seekers along with the requirements and descriptions and responsibilities of job. Now in certain areas like New York City, they will have the ability to tap into that range, whether it's hourly or annually in an annual salary.
I guess it really gives a job seeker, the power because it helps them negotiate pay, right?
It does. It gives them a starting point where they can know their worth. Now, they definitely should negotiate anyway because they may have special skills and accomplishments that they can point to going even higher, a salary that's higher than the range, but at least they know going into it what it entails.
Okay, but you say this is not only helping people actually looking for a job. How can it help people in their current positions?
Yes, I'm so glad you asked that because they can know their worth. So they can look at their their current employer's job descriptions and see if there's a similar job or their current one. They can then go back to their boss and say, you know what, I noticed this range and I'm not in this range. Let's negotiate my pay. Because right now it's still a tight labor market and employers do not want to lose their top performers. It costs them a lot of time and money.
Sure. Yeah. Well, so the law only applies to New York right now. What about nearby states like New Jersey and Connecticut?
Yeah, what's so interesting, Tamsin, is Connecticut it does apply to, but in Jersey it doesn't. However, there's a caveat because in certain areas, like for instance, Jersey City, there's an ordinance where it does apply.
Oh.
So what we're seeing at Monster is even in places where it doesn't apply, let's say in New Jersey, outside of Jersey City, companies are still putting their best foot forward and sharing this information for several reasons. Number one, we know the majority of job seekers say they absolutely want this information, and salary is their number one go-to when they're deciding whether or not to pursue a job. Number two, just to remain competitive. If there's a New Jersey employer and they're competing with candidates who are looking in New York City as well as Connecticut, it's in their best interest to share this information.
Okay, so once this law actually went into effect, one issue that kept popping up was this wide salary range. Now, in some cases, there was like $100,000 difference. So in cases like that, is this really effective?
Great question. It is. I think, with anything new, there will be wrinkles that need to be ironed out in due time. So it should be effective once those ranges are much more accurate. But what's most important to the job seeker is transparency from an employer. So if a job seeker sees that salary range is $100,000 difference from the low to the high end, they may think twice about applying to that role.
So another part of the law, which is interesting, isn't just about posting the salary range. It stops employers from asking about salary history or potential employer. So what does somebody do if they're there in an interview and they're asked how much they were paid?
Yes, they can push back and they could say, well, I'm here to focus on what my salary expectations are. And then you could talk about the range for the current job. And they may want to even say something like, I know it's my understanding in New York City that it's not allowed to talk about previous salary or salary history. So let's move forward and talk about what this job entails. Some states it does apply, some states it doesn't. So, but it's always in a job seeker's best interest to talk about moving forward and not the past.
Yeah.
Very interesting. Well, Vicki, thank you so much for joining us again today.
Thanks for having me.
All right, and for more career advice, open jobs, and employment resources, you can check out monster.com.